There's a 2-week window at the start of every listing where the home is going to get the most attention that it'll ever get. More showings, more clicks, more agents sending it to their buyers. If you price it right in that window, you might be able to get multiple offers and a price above asking. If you price it wrong, that window closes and it'll never really open up quite in the same way. Today I'm going to break down exactly why overpricing tends to backfire and the buyer psychology behind it. Before we get into it, if you're even just thinking about selling and want a super quick estimated value for your home, head to the video description below and you'll see that I have a link there below for you. It literally takes less than a minute to fill out, so check it out. I think it's a great starting point for you. Now let's talk about why list price matters a lot more than many sellers realize. I like to think about that first few weeks of listing time as a little bit like a bell curve. When it first goes out and goes onto the market, you're going to have a little bit of viewing, and it's just going to keep increasing for the first several days. And that's going to be where you have your most views, your most saves and favorites, and the most actual showings. After a few weeks though, that activity is going to drop and peter out a little bit. So something that your pricing is going to do is really going to help determine how high the peak is on that curve. Are you going to price it right and get a lot of activity and a lot of views and a lot of showings? If you price it high, you really just might get a little molehill, of showings and viewings. If your price is aligned with the market, you're going to show up in front of the most amount of buyers and people who are actually ready, willing, and able to write offers. And that's going to be that time period in the first 7 days where people are going to be most excited about your home. Pricing it right is how you get multiple offers and the best set of price and terms on an offer. But if you price above the market, here's what actually can happen. That peak still occurs, like I talked about, but the algorithm still shows your home to everybody, but the response is muted and that little curve is just a little small one instead of like a mountain. And here's the part that some sellers don't realize. They think, sure, I can just drop the price. But you don't really get the second bell curve after a price drop without some stigma of market time. In general, a price drop is going to create another curve and another bump in activity, but it's unlikely to produce as much action. And even if you do get more action, the accrued time on the market will have a psychological impact on the buyers that are looking at your home. So your single best shot at maximizing value is in that first week or two. So this brings us to stale listings. Every listing has a clock that's attached to it. It's called days on the market, and every buyer can see it. It's on the MLS, it's on Redfin, Homes.com, Zillow, etc. It's right there in the listing. In a balanced market, homes that are priced correctly can go within a couple of weeks or maybe a month or two. Right now in Portland, the average time on the market is 54 days. So if you see a home on the market, it's been on the market for 90, 120, 150 days, what do you think buyers are going to do? They're immediately going to start wondering what's wrong with the home. And that's very normal buyer psychology. If you put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, you'd probably be doing the exact same thing and asking me, your agent, the exact same question when you see a house that you like that has 150 days on the market. So when that buyer sees your home and it's been on the market for a little while, I even get questions sometimes when something's been on the market for only like 30 days. They don't think, oh wow, I'm surprised no one's found this great home yet. They think the opposite. They think, what's wrong with it? Is there an inspection issue? Is there an odor issue? Is there a foundation problem? Did every other buyer that walked through already pass and it's just not a great home? And those series of questions and the suspicion can change if buyers are even gonna go see your house in the first place. And if they do and they like it and they wanna write an offer, it's probably gonna also change how they negotiate. Instead of coming in strong to compete for a desirable home, they will probably come in low thinking that the seller might be getting desperate. And honestly, at that point, a lot of times the sellers are getting desperate. So higher days on the market doesn't even just reduce buyer interest, it can actively shift the negotiating leverage to the buyer before the offer is even made. Okay, so let's tie this together a little bit. When a home is overpriced, the days on the market climb. When days on the market climb, buyers assume something's wrong. when buyers assume something's wrong, they might not even take a look, and if they do, offers might come in lower and more aggressive. And eventually, most overpriced listings end up doing a price reduction anyway because the market responds and tells them that they're overpriced. Except now they're stamped with a stale listing, a longer days on the market, and buyers who smell a motivated seller. The uncomfortable and unfortunate truth is sellers who overprice, then reduce their price, tend to net less in the end than if they had priced it correctly in the beginning. And if your house is vacant, every month or every week that passes is more mortgage interest and more taxes and insurance and just a higher cost. So netting it out, I think overpricing can often be one of the most expensive mistakes that a seller can make. I think one other important thing to note here, selling one's home is known as one of the more stressful life events people go through. So when you go onto the market and you are trying to sell your home and you're on the market for many months, you have to believe me that it is really stressful for sellers. Okay, so obviously I've been focusing a lot on the financial aspect of this, but one other thing that I think is really important to note is selling a home is generally considered a very stressful thing to go through. So I would imagine most of you out there are going to say that you would much rather sell your home in 7 days than 7 months. So it's something to at least put into consideration as you are contemplating your pricing strategy. If you price at the market or right around the market, what you think it's worth, that and your home does sell pretty quickly, that's going to greatly reduce the amount of stress that you have to go through to get your place sold. In any case, if you're thinking about selling your home in the next year or two, I think the number one thing that you should be doing right now is talking with an agent. I'd be happy to help, of course, but talking to your agent on how to prepare your home for your market and what the pricing strategy would be for your property. Different locations, different property types, different condition. These are all going to come into account when you're thinking about a pricing strategy. So you really want to make sure that you know what the best way forward is for you. I'd be happy to have a chat with you about how to best prepare your home for the market. I have a free no pressure consultation that I offer people. Links in the description for an initial online meeting, or you can just reach out or comment below. If this was helpful, please subscribe for more straight talk videos on buying and selling in Portland, and I'll see you in the next one.